What's up, guys? Welcome into another episode of Open Mic. Really great to have you. We have a really great interview in store. I interviewed one of my friends. She swam at Trinity University, Paige Johnson. We talked about everything from swimming, what's it like swimming, what was the moment you realized you were an athlete. We also talked about going from that to, going to Germany for a couple of months to work for the U.S. consulate, which that was a lot of fun. And it was, great interview. So really excited to have you guys listen to that. But the first thing I want to talk about is something that this week especially has kind of been going through my mind, and something that this week I definitely feel like you worked on and addressed a little bit, and that's the idea of just getting your stuff out there, getting your idea out there, getting your project out there, any of that stuff. And for me, it really came across in a couple of different fronts. So the first front was with Top Form. We've started beta testing. We have these really great devices that are out and ready to go. And in the start of this week, those devices found their beta testers. They arrived, and we're really excited to have those out in the wild and to have them being tested and being used and having feedback. And really with that part of, kind of learning from that, with me at least, is that, if you want to get that honest feedback, if you want to know if you have a good idea or an idea that needs some tweaking, or maybe it's just a bad idea and you need to start from scratch, is you have to get your stuff out there. You have to get your product, you have to get your project, whatever it is, you have to get it out there. And that was something that this week, definitely felt nervous about, especially on the Top Form front. I mean, it's been, a business that I've been working on for almost a year now. We're coming up on our 1 year anniversary here at the end of July, and it was definitely scary at times to think about. We've been working on the R&D for it. We've finally got the device in a place where we like it, and now we're getting it out into the wild, and we're getting it out on people's shooting arms, and we're getting that feedback. And really the kind of reflection with that on for me was, the only way we're ever going to know if the feedback that we had initially gotten can be replicated, and that we are going to get, feedback that's positive, that's going to allow us to go forward with the business, is by getting it out there. And, that was something for me, definitely had to overcome a little bit of fear and maybe overcome a little bit of subconscious feet dragging to be able to send out those devices and get them out there and really see what happens. So that was kind of, on the immediate front. And then later this week, posted on social media about this podcast, about Open Mic, and had been dragging my feet on that a little bit as well, kind of procrastinating it. And I think a lot of that came from the fact that I didn't know what the response was going to be. I think we're all a little bit afraid to put a project out there because we don't want to get the negative feedback. We don't want to get anyone saying they hate the work, especially when it's something so personal, like any project is really. And ended up putting it out this week finally. Had taken me a long time, had been on my to-do list for a long time, and was really grateful to get a lot of positive feedback on it. And I think for me, that was something that, once I had, put it out there, it definitely, it felt a little more real, and it felt like definitely can now start to do more and to work on it more. But there was also a sense of relaxation because it was out there, and that no matter what happened, it was going to get better. There was going to be feedback, and that's really the only way to get better is with that feedback. So that's, almost the double-edged sword of putting your project, putting your business, putting an idea out there, is that, you may be a little apprehensive to put it out there at the start, but once you do, you're going to get better because you are going to get that feedback. It's just a matter of overcoming that barrier to putting out that project, that idea. And then kind of on the third kind of side of it this week, where I really saw that play out, was with Homecoming. Became really active on social media this week, really started doing stuff, and really started also doing stuff on my own with it, in the sense that I'm shooting, cutting, putting together, posting all of the different stuff for our social media, and for the business in general. And I think for me, there was a little bit of feet dragging on that, a little bit of apprehension to put that kind of stuff out there, because as soon as you do that, you become apparent to the world, and you hopefully start attracting people to buy a t-shirt, explore the brand. But once I had overcome that initial fear, initial apprehension, whatever you want to call it, of just executing on that stuff, for me, it felt a lot better. And I think that kind of gets into the other part of what I wanted to just open with today, some kind of opening thoughts, was that the overcoming the fear of putting stuff out is tough. It's not fun. It is almost, gut wrenching at times. It makes you sick, the anticipation, the buildup. But by doing it, you open yourself up to so much more feedback. And, I would say that 9 times out of 10, the people in your circle are not only going to give you honest feedback, but I would tell you that the stuff that you are putting out is a lot better than you think it is. And that if you have that initial apprehension and you've been working on it for so long, just getting it out there, and overcoming that fear, you're going to find that the result of that, at least in my experience, again, we're just learning here. And that's really what this is about. We're documenting the learnings. And, as it relates to myself, that learning of, we're going to put it out there, and the feedback, largely, more than likely will be positive. You might get some negative feedback, but it's the process of getting that feedback, and really just the process of overcoming that fear. And I think just accepting the fact that, I might get some negative feedback, probably get some positive feedback. And once you have accepted that, I think it really becomes, it opens up a lot of, doors, a lot of avenues to not only improve, but to continue to work on that project, and really continue to work on it in a way with, maybe even a renewed spirit. So that was just something that, I really wanted to address at the top of the show, because for me, it was something that, really was something I lived this week. I was incredibly apprehensive about putting out open mic and telling the world about it, even though, by that point we were 2 episodes in, and I was really apprehensive about putting out, chasing bogeys as well, and showing people that. However, once I, did tell people about it, not only did it feel like a weight was lifted off my shoulders, but it re-energized me, and it got me excited, and was really pleasantly surprised that people reached out. And I had a buddy reach out, and he's like, I didn't know you were playing golf, I didn't know you were taking it up, let's go play sometime. Or was able to get another guest on the podcast for next week, which excited to have you guys see that, if that pans out, which I'm confident it will. So was able to do that by getting the idea out in the world, and by having people look at it. So I guess my big learning this week is that really the only way to play in the game is to get in the game. You have to put yourself out there. You have to overcome a little bit of that initial fear, initial apprehension of putting something that does feel personal. In a way, it is your baby, and putting it out and showing the world that what you've been working on and working so hard on. It's tough, but the return, at least that I found, again, I'm not in the advice business. I'm in just the documenting kind of the process. And if you can learn something, great. If not, that's totally fine as well. But the big learning for me this week was, you put something like that out there, and while you may get some negative feedback, the overall product is going to improve. You're going to find that in all actuality, people are going to probably like it a lot more than you think. So you're not going to be met with just a total mess of, a mass of negative responses, and it'll re-energize you, I think, in a lot of ways. So really excited to continue promoting that stuff. Even today had a little initial apprehension to put out clips of open mic. And, I think for me, I just have to keep telling myself that at the end of the day, what you want with this project, with any project, is to have it be successful. And the only way to do that is to put it out in the world, to see what people think, and to go from there. I guess if you could sum it up, you could say if you want to win the game, you got to play in the game, and the only way to play in the game is to get in the game. And that means just putting out whatever idea you have into the world, and seeing what happens, and seeing what the response is, because at the end of the day, that is what matters. It's you want it to be successful, and if you can make that mental switch to understand that maybe your version of successful, your kind of vision of that, isn't going to be the vision of success, but by getting that feedback, you are you can never guarantee success, but you can guarantee that you're going to get a lot closer to it by getting that feedback and just understanding that once you get that feedback, you are going to get closer to having, that thing, that idea, that project be successful. I think it's a huge step. And again, it's something I'm continually working on, but really wanted to bring it up this week because it was something that definitely felt and definitely experienced a ton. So really going forward for me, what I'm going to hold myself accountable for is just posting stuff on social media, just letting it all fly and seeing what people think of it. Because at the end of the day, people are going to determine whether it's good or bad. You yourself, can't really judge fully if it's going to be good or bad. So people are going to determine it. And the only way to know that is to post it out there and to share it with the world. So that's something that, going forward, not only this week, but really for the rest of my life that I'm going to be working on is, at the end of the day, post it is better than perfect. Just get it out there, get it shared with the world and just accept the fact that you're really, I should back up. Don't accept the fact, but, post it and share it with the world with the mind of knowing that it's going to get better as a result of that. It's going to improve. You are going to get feedback. And, if you can separate that feedback that you're getting, from your ego, from a bruised ego, I guess I should say, then you're going to be in really good shape. So, big learning this week of just, posting stuff, posted better than perfect. I guess that could be a takeaway we could have, maybe something along the lines of, if you want to get in the game, you gotta play in the game, or if you're playing the game, excuse me, if you want to play in the game, you got to get in the game. And the only way by doing that is just sharing it. So, my biggest thought, my biggest, learning for myself this week that I'm going to continue to work on, like I said, is just, sharing openly, sharing often, and doing it with the mind and with the thought that, by sharing it's going to improve and it's going to, get closer to guaranteeing success because, that's the only way you can do it. So really excited to have you guys listen to this interview coming up with Paige. Really exciting stuff. Like I said, we talked about a whole lot of different stuff. We had a really fun rapid fire at the end. So really excited to have you guys listen to that. So with that, we'll go to the interview. I am joined here today with Paige Johnson. Paige, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, it's great to have you. So I don't even know where to start. I feel like I've known you since high school. I don't feel like I've known you since high school. And maybe we can start with, Trinity College swimming because, that's what you did for the entirety of it, right?
Yeah. Past 4 years, I guess this is my first year off not swimming since I was 11, but yeah. I swam Division III at Trinity.
Nice.
I ended up setting like a school record there my senior year.
Nice. Okay.
We were 19th of 18 teams to go to nationals, so we just missed the cut my senior year.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, that was really my thing, and I loved it.
Nice. And what event did you swim again?
Well, mostly I did butterfly and backstroke.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, what was that like? You leave Arapahoe and you get there, first day. Now you're I don't know if you call it. It is the big leagues. It really is. So what was that like? You're swimming, in college.
Man, it was an evolution for sure. Yeah. So probably when we first got there, the team was very different. We had a different head coach my freshman year. Yeah. And that was obviously the coach that recruited me. So I was really excited to swim under him. I had a lot of respect. Yeah. But he didn't necessarily recruit kids that wanted to swim.
Gotcha.
So the team had a bad attitude about swimming, but they really got along socially outside of that.
Yeah.
So I honestly was expecting a lot more, and my swimming kind of plateaued for the first 2 years. Yeah. And then we got a new coach. Our assistant coach stepped up to be the head coach.
Gotcha.
By then, and then things got serious.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a hard transition. It was either you're gonna transition, you're gonna refocus on swimming, so know that you want to be here for that, or you can kind of keep to the social aspect that it had been. Yeah. And so going into the next 2 years, it was really a heads down. We're here to swim. Yeah. Definitely swam hard, partied hard. Did a little bit of everything to keep the balance, but it was great. It was a really I loved it. I don't know how to.
No, that's that. That's a fair summation of it, and I think it's interesting because you got to see both sides of it. You got to see more of the, social side of swimming, like we're just here to, do the social thing. And then, really got down to the work. And what was that like for you? Was there a mental shift for you? Or, because you're a hard worker already, but now when you have someone who comes in who's really all business, all swimming, what was that like for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think for the first few years, I really thought that everything I did for the team was going to be enough.
Yeah.
And I didn't get better from my junior year of high school, which I was swimming Division III. Like we were competing at college, we were still winning meets. And so I really thought that with the extra practices, I would be getting better.
Yeah.
And I wasn't. And so finally by senior year, I was like, I've had it with this. Like I'm done. Like for myself, like I kind of had come into my own of I'm an athlete, which for me looking back, like that was just an interesting piece for me. I'd never thought of myself as an athlete until my final year of the sport.
Wow. Okay.
Even though I'd been doing, I don't know, I can't explain that one, but so I started doing like extra workouts outside of that. We added a weight training program. I think we added the training program my sophomore year. We had our first rendition of weights, but it wasn't really anything serious. And then senior year, we got an entire new gym. So we had a new pool, new weight training. We had a weight training coach that was actually a professional at that.
Yeah.
And so that made a huge difference. Like really, bringing the focus. And our coach, he was serious. Like we had kind of been competing at a level that we knew we could win at for a long time. Yeah. And he wanted us to get better, which was really good. Like he wanted to push everyone to get better. We started competing against better teams. Like I think we were Division III, but we only competed against 1 or 2 D3 teams at all the last year. It was mostly like we swam TCU.
Wow.
We swam another UIW, another D1 school. Like we really were trying to put our names out there and really prove ourselves on a bigger stage.
That's awesome. And I think it's fascinating that you brought that up, that you didn't feel like an athlete until your final year in the sport. And I think that's one of the tougher things in life is whether it's kind of finding your voice, finding, that figuring out that you really feel like an athlete. Was there a moment, a meet, a swim where you're like, okay, like this is it. It's clicked. I finally feel like I'm a swimmer now.
I can't think of like a direct moment, but I do have this really, because I think it was developing throughout the year, but I have this really memorable moment. So swimming, basically like you don't, you can drop time in the middle of the season, but like it's really rare. Like you're really 2 chances to shine are your mid-season meet and your season ending meet, or any championship season after that. Yeah. And going into the first mid-season meet, like mid-November, so I'd been training since August, like doing everything I could to get better. And I remember our very first relay, medley relay. Yeah. So it's not like a solid time. Like you have the relay start. So it's not a true time, but you still swam it, and I went a 57.7, which was like the fastest 100 fly I'd ever done. Like I don't think I'd ever broken 58 before. Wow. And I'd been like 58 mid, and so to go like a 58 mid, like full second drop at that meet, like I was just over the moon. Yeah. And I remember like the whole team was having a great meet that weekend, and that was again racing D1 teams. Yeah. So we weren't. I don't think we won that meet, but I think we came really close. But we wanted to be out there to prove ourselves. And like, I was on top of the moon for that. And I remember celebrating with everyone that whole weekend.
That's really cool. And is that something where, when you're in the water, like, did you know that you're like, I'm swimming faster than normal? Or is it just like, I'm just trying to move my arms as quick as I can and like whatever happens? Did you have a feeling or a sense, or is it just like, I'm going to just go and whenever I stop, I stop?
We were suited up for that meet. And so whenever you're suited up, you feel like it's your super suit. Like you're just going to go faster. Yeah. But I don't know why, but I vividly remember that was the first meet. I had started cheering myself on in my head. Okay, yeah. And so the whole time I was like singing. It was a really powerful meet for me. Like, I had, I think Better Now by Post Malone stuck in my head. Okay, cool. So I was like singing that, and it's like, I got this, I can do it. And I just feel like me nailing my walls. And I was like, I just hit that. Like, let's come back. We got one more. And like, cheering myself through the next few laps, because normally I would just like clear out my mind of like, I'm gonna swim, and that was very mindless. And so as soon as I put my head into it, like I obviously went so much faster. Yeah.
So credit Post Malone for helping you, right? For helping you with that, with the event, and for having your best time. So you started at Arapahoe, or you didn't start swimming at Arapahoe. Obviously swam a lot before that. What was it like going, from the high school level swimming to, college level swimming? Was there a moment where you're like, oh shit, you're allowed to swear a little bit on the podcast, so it's okay. Okay, good. Was there a moment you're like, oh shit, we're in the big leagues now. We're no longer just, at the high school swimming, like this is legit.
Yeah. My expectations for college I think were set at the D1 level because that's what I had seen everyone go through before me. Like I was one of the few people from Arapahoe that swam in college to go Division III.
Gotcha.
And so I was expecting a laid back. I was expecting hard practices, but I didn't expect it to be as demanding as it was.
Yeah.
And so we had 3-hour practices every day, like freshman year. I was surprised we started early August. Like literally we'd been on campus for 3 or 4 days. School hadn't even started yet. Like we were still in orientation. They're like, great, see you at the pool. We're going to start like with the teammates. Yeah. And so I thought it was gonna be a lot harder than it was initially because I think that was just our coach. Like his style was very similar to what I'd swum with in college or in high school. Yeah. Like a lot, we call it garbage yardage. Yeah. Like it wasn't, I don't know if it did anything, but I could pound out like 10,000 yards in a few hours, but it wasn't, I know it was beneficial, but going to meets and stuff like that, I thought just because it was college, it was going to be a given that you would get better. But again, like I found out you still had to be putting in effort and all of that. Yeah. I was so nervous though for our first meets. Like they were just little dual meets. I'm trying to think if I even remember our first. Yeah, our first one was in Houston, Texas. I remember my mom flew out for it, and like we don't really have fans because it's college. Like but yeah, just being so nervous that whole bus ride, and then getting out there on the pool and just seeing what we could do, and it was. I mean, you're competing against like 22, 23-year-olds that have been in college for a few years, have been around the block, and it was intimidating. So
what was that like on the block? I mean, first meet, do you even, is it like something where you've blacked that all out in your head, or did you just like get on the block and you're like, okay, we're just gonna, start paddling, swimming?
Yeah.
What was that like?
I think I used to get so much more nervous for each meet. Like I remember my mouth going dry like behind the blocks, which I wouldn't get until... I mean, I remember that in grade school, like for just neighborhood dual meets, being that nervous. I'm trying to think. I don't remember swimming so much at that first meet. Funny story though. Our coach, our coach is JR, beloved JR. Like he was an old man. Yeah. And no one ever understood what he was saying. Like we just kind of mumble and be like, we're gonna do that. Yeah. So takes this bus full of kids on our way back. Like we're 2.5 hours from San Antonio. And he's like, all right, your options for dinner are McDonald's or JR's surprise.
Oh man, I don't know if I want either of those things. Yeah.
After swimming a swim. Yeah,
like, after swimming a swim meet. Yeah.
So we hop on the bus. JR, we're like crossing a highway. Like we're not walking it's Texas. We're not walking to the crosswalk. We're like, it's basically a highway. Yeah. And so everyone crosses before JR. JR's like waddling along behind us. There's this shack across the street and it just says, Yo Mama's Pit Barbecue.
Oh my gosh.
The menu is written like on a poster board. Like you can see where the pencil lines had been erased to keep it straight. Oh my And it's
goodness.
like, literally the slogan was like, you don't need no teeth to eat my meat. Like.
Okay, yeah. Nice.
We walk in there with like 30 people. Well, yeah, because most of the team went in. Yeah. And this little woman walks out and just sees all of us. And she's like, what? Like. Clearly not prepared to handle us. And so one of the guys, the captains, is like, we'll take 30 like barbecue sandwiches, whatever you can have. So we start waiting around. Someone literally falls through a hole in the floor. Like,
oh my
all of
gosh.
that. JR finally crosses the street. Yeah. And he's like, this isn't it.
So you guys have just wandered into like a random barbecue shack.
A random barbecue.
What was JR's surprise?
We never figured that out. We never figured out what JR's surprise was meant to be.
Okay.
So we ended up getting food from this place and like taking it back and eating it. Yeah. I think I had to bail and go get McDonald's. Like there was clearly this woman was not going to make it through 30 sandwiches, but.
And so you're like, you know what, I'll just take the McNuggets for it. Okay.
So that is like my crowning memory of freshman year.
Freshman year is going to kind of a backyard barbecue place and then being like, I'll take the McFlurry and the McNuggets after that. Okay. So I'm always interested in this. There's a ton of events to swim in, a lot of different things, whether it's breaststroke, freestyle, butterfly, backstroke, all of that. How did you choose your events? Like, was it something where like as a kid you just wandered over to the butterfly part of the pool and it's like, well, we're just going to do the butterfly, or was there any rhyme or reason to it? Or I mean, tell me about that.
I mean, typically it's like how you're built. Like if you're training for it, it's going to see like there's different body types. Like sprinters are going to be the really tall, like heavy weightlifters. Yeah. So they don't need as much endurance as the long distance. But I really think Heritage Green Skaters, I got my start because I was the only legal butterflyer when I was 8 years old.
Wait, legal?
Legal.
How does that? were you gonna break the law if someone else went over and did the butterfly? What was that like?
You could it's just DQ, disqualifying.
Oh, okay.
If you don't, so a lot of like now that I coach, a lot of butterflies like can't keep their legs together, so they'll start doing a different kick with it.
Okay, I gotcha. Yeah.
And I guess I could squeak by. It wasn't good. Everyone thought I was double jointed in my shoulders.
Yeah.
So I would do this weird like arms coming up and over when I did it. And you know what? It got me onto relays, and that's what I loved. And so it was like what butterfly wasn't my favorite when I was younger, but I could stick with it.
Okay. And you're like you said, that's one where you're like, I mean, shoulders over. I mean, it's all arms, no legs. Is it just the worst thing in the world to do, or I mean, what's that? I mean, because it looks just grueling when you watch it. You know, when the Olympics cover it, because it's. I mean, obviously you can use your legs a little bit, but it is mostly arms, right?
It's like a good core and upper body for sure.
Yeah.
To get that motion going, I loved it for sprinting because it's just powerful. Like it's like any shorter distance, like 50 or the 100, like you can get going, you hit a rhythm, like you can just power through that and you kind of use your momentum to keep you going. 200 butterfly on the other hand, I refused to swim in college.
Gotcha.
I did it once in high school because my coach, like I was coming off of tapers, like I just rested, I was in shape for like my other races, but I wouldn't necessarily say I didn't swim 200s at that point. So my coach was like, we'll put you in the 200 fly, I think you're gonna be really good at it, like set these really high expectations, and I died. Like I was hanging on the wall for the last 50. Like didn't think I was gonna turn around and do it again. Like
wow.
It was a traumatic experience because my pride was hurt for sure after that race. And so my coach tried to put me in again senior year, and I was like, I'm not doing this. We had a few kids do it. Just a little anecdote about the 200 fly.
Yeah, go for it.
We had kids one time at our rival meet my last year. So freshman year, one of our swimmers that swims the 200 fly was leading his race the entire time until the last 25 yards. When he literally fell to 6th place because it took him so long. Like he was just dragging out of the water on that last fix. He was so tired. So senior year, rival meet, he goes for redemption. But he had also been trash talking one of our other swimmers the whole time. And they're like, I'm gonna beat you. Let's see how this goes. They get out there, take it out just as quickly as he did his freshman year. And so then by the last 100, they're like dragging themselves through the pool. And so we look like these assholes because our team is sitting there laughing at them. Like laughing at their struggle because there was this whole backstory of like, this is his redemption, all of that. And they ended up like, it was just as bad as the first time. Like I think he took a breaststroke stroke in the middle of it.
Oh my gosh.
Which isn't allowed, but there weren't stroke judges. It's a dual meet. And so him and his friend both died at that.
They got to the end, and it was just
they got their butt kicked.
Oh
our coach was on the ground laughing. He couldn't do it. And he's like, I didn't want it to be like that. Like I really wanted to see him do well, and we just looked like we set him up for.
And that was it for them. After that, it was like, okay, no more. We're not doing anything of that. That's interesting. And so I want to kind of transition a little bit here. So you've, like you said, you've been swimming, from a really young age. You've, done really well in high school, done really well in college. You've coached a little bit throughout that. How is it, what's that like coaching, swimmers? A lot of, kids who maybe you see a little bit of yourself in them, or, understanding, how to talk to them because you've done it at such a high level. So then how do you, bring it down and coach for swimmers who are just starting?
I think I love coaching because you get to see like a kid like yourself, like you see them, but I love seeing any kid succeed. So it's like regardless of their skill level, whether they're like just learning butterfly or they're like going to break a record for it, like it's so exciting seeing them like get passionate about it and figure out what they're doing. But no, I think it's interesting, like a lot of the lessons I learned in swim I learned in college, and it's like little things. It's like, how do you tell a kid this without making it sound like this is a terrible sport?
No, totally.
Because it's like biggest thing, it's like it doesn't matter how you feel, like when you're behind the blocks. Like I remember Missy Franklin saying that she swam her best when she was tired, because if you're well rested you get in your head and you're like, I don't feel 100% perfect, I can't do 100% perfect, but if you're tired you're like, I don't care, I've trained like this, I'm gonna go out there and see what happens. And so it's like, how do you tell a 10-year-old like it doesn't matter how you feel, you just have to go, like this is what you do and you do it. And so learning to like translate that to kids and still see them, I mean, they still see success, and it's like all these lessons I wish I'd learned earlier. I think I can help. I could have helped them like learn a little bit more, and and still make it a fun and interesting sport, because that's what at the end of the day they're there for, is to enjoy it.
That's interesting. And then I can't believe I haven't asked this one yet. Why did you choose swimming? Of all the sports anyone could play, what were you like, you know what, I'm going to hop in a pool and I'm just going to go until my arms are not, like, what was the reasoning behind that?
I hate running.
Okay.
And 90% of other sports have that in it.
That's fair enough. Swimming is the only one where it's exclusively in water, I feel like, other than maybe triathlon or something like that. So there's some running in there. So you're like, you know, not on land, we're going to go by sea. Yeah. Is that really what it came down to?
Because I started exclusively doing swimming in 6th grade. And before, so like all through elementary school, I played, I think, soccer, volleyball, and basketball. And my dad coached me in 2 of those. Okay. And my dad, obviously being a dad, was tough on me. And I was like, I don't like this. Yeah. like, I butt heads with my dad a lot when I was younger. And so I was like, why would I do this? Yeah. And then I had been swimming since I was 7 on the same team. And so it just kind of like made sense that that's what I was gonna do. And my brother had all of his other sports, like baseball, basketball, soccer, when he was younger. And so I think just trying to find what worked for me, and that happened to be in a pool.
That works. Hey, that's part of it. And we've had a lot of I don't know, for the first, you know, you're a third guest, we've had a lot of athletes on the show. I had my dad, who was a Division I golfer, Austin, who is I think a Division III golfer, and now we have you, a Division III swimmer. And it says a lot about me that I have a lot of really great athletic friends, and also that my athletic ability is incredibly lacking. But I'm always interested to ask, what life lessons did you learn swimming? I mean, is it I'm sure it's numerous, but I mean, there's got to be a few, right? Yeah.
I don't even think I could sum that up. Okay. Like, I wouldn't be at all who I am today without that. Nice. And I think that's helped me stay focused in so many other areas of my life. Like in school, it definitely kept me grounded. Like, if I didn't have swim, I don't know where I'd be, because something for me personally is like, I've always prided.
It's like, hey, it's okay. It's not a spelling bee. It's not a grammar contest, so you're good.
All right, I've always been proud of like my internal drive and like to keep things going. And so looking at a full plate of like hour practice in the morning, I have to go to class, and then I'm gonna have 2-hour practice in the evening. Yeah. Like, how do I work around that? And it's like, I can't mess around. I have to drill down and focus and like get my schoolwork done. Yeah. And then being able to focus in on one thing at a time. Yeah. I think, and it's meditative to be out there swimming and focusing.
That's cool. I'm sure not for that first jump in the water though. You're like, at first that's where you're like, I don't really feel the meditation right now.
You could stare at a pool for 15 minutes before you hop in. Like, that is every coach's battle, is getting the kids in the pool for the first time. They will pull hoses on you. They will add a longer practice. They will push you in. Anything.
But I think you bring up a good point about, you know, kind of having the structure and really needing to have, you know, everything work together, because that's something that, you know, in talking with Austin and talking with, you know, my dad as well, as they would say, you know, we got tournaments this weekend, so I gotta have all of my you know, schoolwork. You know, I'll get an extension on something if it is due, you know, right when a tournament's going on in the middle of it, or I have to either get it done beforehand. So it does really force you to be organized and to just hit one thing after the other every single day.
Yeah, really. You have to be able to drive for a long time to keep going. Like, I don't know as much about other sports, but swim, it's like one of those sports, if you're out of the pool for a day or two, like you could literally be weeks behind from that. Like, it's not like shooting hoops where it's like muscle memory. I mean, it is muscle memory, but
well, there's a conditioning aspect to it, and like being in the water every day, there's I don't know if you want to call it mental, physical, whatever, but there's an element of just doing that every day that's helpful. Yeah. Okay.
So you really have to like build that in and be able to keep going. Like, school's obviously a priority, but you had to figure out like, how do I stay in the pool to keep that competitive edge?
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so then you wrap up at Trinity, and then you think like, oh, wrap up, and then like just, you know, go get a job. But instead you go to Europe for your job, for an internship, for an incredible experience at the U.S. consulate, right? So, I mean, you're leaving San Antonio, Texas, and now you're hopping on a plane and going to Germany, to Europe. What causes a person to do that? And then I think second, what was that like? I mean, you've just finished, you know, and you're leaving, you know, Texas, which I'm sure is just the polar opposite of Germany. So tell me about that.
Yeah, I think I had thought about studying abroad had always been on my list, but like, I only had 4 years in college to compete with the team versus I figure I could go to Europe anytime. Yeah. So I think like June of my senior year, I was like, I want to live in Europe. I didn't know how long. I had all these big dreams. I was like, I just want to like immerse myself in a culture over there. And really see what it's like. And so I actually like totally random ended up babysitting for someone. And the wife was like, oh my God, like my husband's out of the country again. And I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, tell me what does he do? Where is he? And she was just like, oh, he's in Germany. Like he goes there frequently for his work. And I was like, awesome, end of conversation, whatever. She calls me later that evening and is like, would you want an internship in Germany? I was like, hell yes. Is that a question? So her husband like had a good high school friend that worked at the consulate over there, which it's funny because you're only at a consulate for 2 years. Like before you have to rotate.
Interesting.
I think you can, mostly for 2 years. And so he just like put me in, like the husband just put me in touch with that guy, and I ended up obviously like had to apply for the internship all through the normal process and all of that, but ended up cool. Like had very little communication with them, hopped on a plane, like not sure if I think I'd found out like that morning that I was going to have housing when I arrived. And that someone knew I was coming and went over there. It was absolutely like what I needed to do. Wasn't what I expected, but it was definitely the right choice and like what I needed at that point in my life.
And why do you feel like, looking back on it, that it was the right choice? What did you learn? What was just, I mean, obviously an incredible experience, but why, looking back now, do you feel like that was the right thing for me to do?
I think like kind of like you had talked about, I was leaving San Antonio. I was just leaving college. Like it was really difficult leaving friends because a lot of the travel I did on my own. But it's like I gotta go somewhere, like go to a museum, and I could spend the entire day there if I wanted to. Getting to just walk around, like I didn't have to wait for someone. But I think just learning the value of meeting people. Because my first day there, like I met people from all over the globe. And one of my friends from Germany came and visited me in San Antonio this past year, December, before everything hit. And so the timing worked out. Like I really got to learn a little bit more of what I wanted to do before, like a taste of the State Department before I committed to anything, which I'm not in the State Department obviously right now, but
that's interesting. When you did the segue cool. for me, so a brilliant job on your part. I feel like you could be hosting this. So State Department, not what you're doing right now. Tell us a little bit about your job, because you're jack of all trades. I mean, that's really what it is, right? Yeah,
working for a startup.
Nice.
Working at Turbine Labs. They hired me for human resources, but I remember in the interview process, I was like, so they have these data journalist role, which like journalists, that's incredible. And data, they work with our AI software to analyze information. Like we can cover social media and normal media over in less than 4 hours, like of everything out there for past week, month, whatever you want your report to be on. And so the data journalists like write a story about the data. Like here's what you need to know today of anything. And I remember interviewing and I was like, that's pretty awesome. Like I wonder if I could start in HR, like use this as my end to see what I think of that. And just the way things are going right now, like this is my first week of a split role. Like I did mornings as a data journalist. I would hop in and out of a human resources meeting like as the day went. A little bit of marketing. Now I'm on their marketing team apparently. Just like as it's going. And then yesterday they were like, we have a lawyer on our team, and he was like, hey, if you ever want to watch me like see what I do, like you can. And I was like, why the hell not? Like throw me in.
Totally.
So
that's really cool. And this is something that you and I we've gone back and forth about. But I mean, working at a startup, I think some people are very much pro it. Some people are very much like, well, go to a big company. You're obviously, I think a lot of people know your answer because you're living it right now. But I mean, walk us through that.
I guess, what was that? I remember deciding if I wanted to go to a startup or something else and talking to you.
Yes, we had breakfast. Yeah.
And what was that book you were talking about?
Oh, Range. It's a great book, by the way. Should look in the camera. Range. It's a must-read. David Epstein, wonderful book. But continue. Sorry about that.
So that's on my list. I haven't read it, but I got the good synopsis from you of like the more you can discover now, young in your career, like the better you're gonna hopefully be later. So I'm really just trying to take advantage of every opportunity, and like nice. I think today was the first week of feeling swamped. But I love it. Like I really love the purpose of my company. Like I mean, we're trying to get like counter misinformation, make sure we're getting good information out of there. And I think the places this can go is just incredible. Like, I've absolutely bought into it.
Yeah.
They brainwashed me.
Yeah.
I am full on the circle in this tech company.
Yeah.
But no, I think they really embrace, like, being able to provide an opportunity to learn. And that was something I really valued at the State Department is I had a main role, but it was only in the mornings.
Gotcha.
So after that, I got to run around and say, hey, what do you want to help with? Like, random stuff I did. Like, I emceed a military retirement ceremony.
Nice.
Over there.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what I did. Like, I taught in English, or we worked at, like, an English speaking group at the library in the evenings, which so just all these random things, like I could say, I want to learn that, I want to do that today, and I didn't imagine in a full-time role I could still be doing that.
Yeah, that's so cool. And you talked about being swamped. You're working a lot of different roles now, being swamped, but I think that's, I think people who really enjoy doing that, to your point, you feel like you're swamped, you're like, this is just absolutely chaotic, but at the end you're like, that was actually a lot of fun, and then it seems to get easier, every week, right? I mean, that's, obviously you're in week 1 of it right now, but I mean, that's at least, is that kind of where you're tracking or where you're looking at with that?
I mean, yeah, hopefully I'll figure it out, and like, I know I have good people to go to bat for me, that if it does get to be too much, I can, but I look up to so much from everyone in my company, and I think especially the people I've worked closely with so far, like, I can learn a lot from them and seeing what they do, and they've been with this company for a few years now, and so a lot of them, like, they've been grinding, but I mean, that's clearly brought the company or the success our company has had, and like brought it to be, and so it's like, if they can do it, like I can, it's a lot like swimming. We're just going to push through this and see what happens. And I think there's going to be really exciting things coming out of it. And that's what keeps it going.
Nice. That's a great parallel you brought up. It's, a lot of sports, it's, it's a lot like the real world, it's, you've got to just keep learning and keep, not to use a Disney movie quote, but you got to just keep swimming to learn, until you learn all this stuff and really just, like you said, you just got to trust and that the work is going to pay off, and really just, talk confidently to yourself. Very cool. Okay, so I have to mention Trevor, your twin brother. I played baseball with him. So growing up with a twin, is the twin, the first question is the twin ESP real? Second question, more seriously, I mean, what's that like having, someone who is, exact same age, same experiences, growing up?
Yeah. ESP weirdly real at times.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
very cool.
We know what's going on.
Nice.
Growing up with a twin, it was really interesting when we were younger, because like, we'd come home from class, and I remember having dinner with my parents, and it's like, we'd be like, oh, this kid today at lunch did this thing. And it's like, oh my God, I know that kid. Like, and we knew the backstory on absolutely everyone. Yeah. Pretty much between the two of us, because we had very different social groups. Yeah. I think my parents never called us like the twins. It was always Paige and Trevor. Okay, cool. So they tried to keep us separate, and I think we did a lot of that. But absolutely, my competition comes from him. Yeah. Everything we did, like we competed in sports a little bit when we were in the same ones, but there was always this like underlying like, oh, like swimming I may get an edge up, but like Trevor's gonna do this in baseball and all of that. And I remember being in a physics class one time, and the professor handed back the test, and literally Trevor comes running over before I had a chance to flip it over, flips it, looks at mine. I beat him, by the way, and he slams it down and walks away.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. So it's I get that there's a, when you're, I mean, same age, same track as that person, there's always going to be an element of competition to it. Very cool. And then you went to the same college together. That's, a lot of twins grow up and maybe go to separate schools. You guys decided to go to the same place. Was that something where like you decided on it first and he followed, or he was first and you followed? I mean, what's that like to go to a, because high school is obviously very different from college. So what's that like to now have your twin at the same school as you? It was
really funny, because we were especially at a small school. Yeah. And so okay, backstory. I toured Trinity because I had initially, our rival school had invited me out for a recruiting trip, and someone in the career department or counseling, whatever, was like, you should check out this other school. So I go down there, I was like, I fell in love with it. Yeah. My mom was like, Trevor, you should check it out. Like, Paige really likes it. They have a baseball program. Yeah. And so he ends up touring it, and like he got a full tuition scholarship. Wow. Okay. So my parents were like, you can go somewhere else, but like, and he loved the school anyways. And so then it came down to me to decide, and I didn't want to follow him, but I loved the school too. Like I had initially fallen in love with it when I went there. And so we got there freshman year, and I think we really led different lives when we first got there, but it was always that comfort of knowing like someone else is there. I ended up living with him my senior year, which was like so I mean, obviously like all throughout college you don't expect to meet someone's sibling.
No, exactly.
At school, especially a small school. Like and so people would always run in and be like, oh my God, you guys are related. Like, it was this funny thing all throughout college. But then we ended up getting closer my senior year when I lived in his house. Just the two of us. The house was an absolute wreck. So that was some good bonding.
Hey, that's part of it though. That's part of the fun. And I think it's really cool because I know at least with my siblings they're very much, no one wants to follow anyone anywhere because it's like we all just want to kind of pave our own path. And you guys definitely did, pave your own paths respectively, but to do it at the same school, I think it's remarkable. It's very cool. It's awesome.
Thanks. But you and your siblings are so close. Like, did it ever cross your minds to go to the same school?
First of all, I love that you're interviewing me. You're turning the table on me, so I appreciate that. And I think it's a good question. I don't think anyone really ever seriously considered it. I think someone would say like, hey, like I know with Catherine, like, hey, you should check out Mizzou. Hey, you should check out Gonzaga. But and Andrew's now looking at grad schools, and I'm like, well, like, hey, that's in college, not a bad spot. So I think, we would all be like, okay, like whatever. But I think at the end of the day, like, we're, to your point, your parents referred to you guys as Paige and Trevor. They've never referred to us, in any kind of group. It's always been Michael, Andrew, Catherine. So, we're all different people. We all have different personalities, and we all wanted to, go test those waters separately. And I think it's, paid off really well.
Good.
And I don't think any of us would want to, be compared to the other one either. I don't think, if I ever went to TCU and they're like, oh my God, you're Catherine's older brother, or if Andrew went to Mizzou and they're like, you're Mike's, younger brother, I don't think any of us wanted that. So it just, we wanted to kind of pave our own paths with our own personalities because that's how we were brought up as, each individual, kid. So, yeah. So
what if Catherine had chosen like Gonzaga or Mizzou?
Like, I don't know. I first of all, I think she would have chosen Gonzaga. I don't think she would have chosen Mizzou. I think she likes it, but, she's very, very close with Andrew because they had, 2 years in high school when they were together. Just they would drive to school every day. And so I think she would have chosen Gonzaga. Would she have liked it? I think she would have. It's a very rah-rah school. But I think, in the back of her mind, she would have not wanted to be compared to being Andrew Carlson's little brother, because Andrew's a very outgoing person in general. Andrew has quite the personality. In college. He's got a huge personality, so I don't think Catherine would have liked that, and I think she very much likes being able to have her Catherine brand college experience, whereas Andrew likes to have his, and I had mine. So it was just a really interesting thing, but I really think it came down to all of us had our own personalities, and our parents never tried to group us, much like your parents never tried to group you guys together. It was like everyone does their own thing, go where you want to go, no expectation whatsoever. So yeah, good. Well, that was incredible. You definitely need to have you on as a co-host at some point to do that. So we are running out of time. We have to go to Mustard's Last Stand, get some hot dogs. That's a place where if you're listening, you're in the Denver area, Mustard's Last Stand. It's right by DU. Yes. Best hot dog and fries ever. It seemed last time I had Austin on, we were barbecuing afterwards. So maybe that'll be a theme. We'll just have guests on and then we'll go out to food afterwards. But we're going to add a little bit of rapid fire. So this is just, it's fun, it's light, it's loose. If you haven't already had fun already, this is where it gets even more fun. I appreciate you saying that. I love the feedback. As long as you're subscribing, that's really all I care about. But first question, it's the Olympics. You can choose 3 other swimmers, all time, male, female. Who are you choosing, and what event are you guys doing? Oh, that is a very good question. I think, we're going to go medley relay. Okay. We're going to put Nathan Adrian on freestyle. Nice. I love his sprinting. Cool. Rebecca Soni, we're going backwards through this. Well, almost. Rebecca Soni on breaststroke. Yeah. Her Mac reverse. I don't know if we have to do like split gender. Butterfly, we're gonna have to do Michael Phelps. Okay. All right, I'm filling a whole relay, and backstroke, probably Aaron Pearsall. Okay. Unless I'm doing backstroke. Okay. Unless we'll sub you in at backstroke, but we'll put Michael Phelps there at the butterfly. Okay. Very, very cool. Can't compete with Phelps. So. He knows what he's doing. All those gold medals. So I respect it, but I think you do well in the backstroke, and you got some guys there working with you who are, I think you're gonna be just fine when you hit the backstroke. So second question, Trevor plays baseball.
Okay.
You play swimming. If the roles were to switch, would it take you?
Ooh.
Who would it take the quickest to be better at the other person's sport? So would Trevor be a better swimmer before you would be a better baseball player or softball player?
That is a good question. I mean, I'm going to have to say I'd be better at baseball.
You'd be better at baseball. Okay, that's good. That's good. If Trevor, if you're listening, you now know the gauntlet has been thrown. Okay, so you think you'd be better, you could get better at baseball quicker than Trevor could get better at swimming.
Pitchers go to practice like 3 days a week.
Yeah, that is true.
Like swimmers, we're there 6 or 7.
Yeah, and I got to believe you've built up enough like stamina, enough endurance to where like we throw you out on the hill, you can go 9 innings every time out. Okay.
I think Trevor could fake a 50 for sure, like really well.
Yeah.
But put him in anything longer than a 50 and
he'd get exposed real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. So you were in Europe. If you could live in Europe in one place, where are you living?
I can't choose one. I would say Madrid or London.
Madrid or London. Okay.
Top.
Okay. Any reason for that, or?
I was just talking today. Madrid was so much fun. Like just very laid back. I loved the markets out there. Like they had really cool. Delicious food. London's just always been on my list.
Gotcha.
So I have to keep it in there.
Okay, that works. Yeah. Okay. Final question: if you weren't swimming, if you go to college to do any other sport but swimming, what sport would you pick?
I think there was something I don't have any affinity for soccer, but I think I would love to play. It would be
soccer. Okay, nice. Do you know what position you play, who you model your game after, or you're just like, I'm going to go out.
Pushing it.
Okay, sorry, that was a bad follow-up question, or it's just like, you know what, throw the ball out there and let's go.
Yeah.
Okay, very cool. Yeah. Well, Paige, thank you so much for coming on Open Mic. This was awesome. We have Mustard's Last Stand to go get, so we're going to go get that. I am starting to get a little hungry. I'm thinking about the French fries there. So we're going to do that. But thank you so much for coming on the show. And we'll definitely have you on again at some point.
I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for listening today. Whenever you're listening to this. Really appreciate the support. Really appreciate any feedback you guys have. Feel free to hit me up on social media at Real Mike Carlson to let me know your feedback. Let me know your thoughts. Always want to be continually improving this. But really excited for, I think what we're going to be drawing up with our guests next week. We've got definitely now that it's out in the open, we've got a lot of really, great guests lined up. So really pumped for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. Really excited to have you guys, as always, on the journey here with me. So until then, we will see you guys later.